Thunderbolts of lightning, very, very frightening. Galileo, 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 Figaro, Figaro.
That was actually really good.
It was better than I expected. So yeah, we're now releasing 0 hours of content. We've got a planner now to try and get ourselves in gear.
So we're
all
gonna
professional
be
now.
Yeah.
Look at this. We've got the setup. We've got the podcast planner. And yeah, let's see how this goes. So, in fact, I'm not going to put that on there. I'm going to put it down here. Welcome to Two Geese in a Pod. And today we are currently, as of recording, how many? Two days? No. Euro starts tomorrow night, but this will probably be released a little bit later because I'm lazy. So, what are we going to be talking about today, Harry? I hear you ask. Well, it's time to...
Sorry, what was I supposed to... What are we supposed to be talking about today?
Let me just grab my podcast planner and we can have a look. So, Euros. Well, we've just mentioned
What
this,
a shock.
What a shock, I know. It's not like I mentioned it 5 seconds ago. Should we, can you act, surprised? So I'll be like...
Right,
oh, look! The Euros!
No.
Right.
What a plan.
I know.
Right,
I'm really original. So, I thought... I want to know your thoughts, first of all, on how you think the Euros is going to go for England, especially. Oh, speaking of which...
Not very well.
Before you get onto that, can you... I know we haven't got much space, but maybe give us a little twirl, because I love this kit. Do you know what year it is? You got Van Basten on the back.
Oh, I can't remember now.
This is going to be the most awkward twirl. It's like a tractor turning around. 84. It is a beautiful
I might be
kit.
very off on that. So if I'm wrong,
I've gone for the newest England shirt.
Danny Rose, who hasn't been taken to the Euros.
He's an England legend, mate. So, how do you think England are going to do this tournament?
Yeah, no, not great.
That surprises me.
Well, do you think we will?
No, I think that you're normally quite patriotic. I mean, I've said before that you try and convince me that you'd rather go to Harlow, your hometown, than Dubai, or at least the way you big it up.
No, trust me, I'd take Dubai any day of the week, but I wouldn't live there.
Wouldn't live there, no, because then you just end up like all those TikTokers who think that they're cut above
Although
everyone.
it would be kind of nice driving a Lamborghini. Did you know, fun fact, in Dubai, that all police cars are actually Bugatti Veyrons.
I feel like this is some fact you've heard, like some rich kid say once.
No, it actually is.
Because we're too poor enough to ever find out. We're never going to know.
It actually is.
I will fact check this at some point, and maybe if I can be bothered to edit it in, I will probably say that you're talking complete rubbish.
Harry was actually not chatting shite for once. How dank.
But let's finally get onto Euros. We've been rabbiting on... Oh, nearly knocked Alex over. Been rabbiting on for long enough now. So, how do you think England are going to do, Harold?
Yeah, no. So I think we're going to do quite poorly. Last year no one thought we were going to do well. But I was actually very optimistic, and we ended up doing quite well. I know it was quite lucky, and I know pretty much 95% of our goals were scored by
Harry Kane penalties.
Harry Kane penalties, but. Yeah, no, it was a good tournament. It was a great summer in general, I think.
It was. It coincided as well so nicely with the end of school. So me and Harry, just to give you an idea of our age, in case anyone is interested in stalking us and finding about our personal life, which you're not because there's only 2 people watching.
Probably both of our girlfriends.
Yeah, she won't even watch it. It coincided with the end of sixth form, so we were already in really good moods. At a prom, they were playing Is it Three Lions? Is that the song? I should know the name of the song. Yeah, it's Three Lions.
Yeah, and Vindaloo.
Like there's 3 lions on my top.
And Vindaloo. Vindaloo was popping off.
Vindaloo was popping off. Yeah, there was a lot of good tunes, and the spirits were just so high that whole tournament. I remember, this memory will stay with me forever. I was in New York during the Colombia game, and obviously New York is, America is closer to Colombia. You don't get too many Colombia fans in England. We went to a pub. Obviously, I was of age because the drinking age is 21 in America, so I was not underage in this pub.
Oh, we all like a bad boy though, don't we?
And anyway, this was a game that went to penalties, and there was me, my brother, just in this pub watching it, and then there's all these little yellow bastards next to us in their Columbia tops. By yellow, I mean the colour of their tops. I'm not being racist. And me and my brother were just sitting there watching these penalties thinking, God, it's going to be another moment where these loud South American guys are just going to be jumping around, going, "Way!" Anyway, Dyer steps up, puts it away. All the England fans are in the middle of this pub just singing Three Lions while you see in the corner the Colombia fans just walking out. And then as we all just kind of controlled ourselves, some American guy just goes up to me and goes, "The right team won, yeah?" And I was like, "Yeah, you're damn right, the right team won." I love it. It was a great memory. It probably doesn't sound as fun as it was in person.
No. It makes me relive all the memories that I had that tournament. I mean, it's remarkable. I probably watched each game in such different places, all across the country. I watched one game. I watched the Sweden game in Cornwall, in some random pub in the middle of nowhere, but it was amazing. And that was such a laugh.
I remember you were
dancing and singing with everyone, just randomers. It's just great fun, isn't it? I kind of miss that now we're in COVID, but we'll never get that tournament back.
This just sums you up. I remember you telling me when you were coming back, I think, from Cornwall, you were opening the window to random cars going, "Yeah, it's coming home. It's coming home." I picture that when you told me, and I was like, that is so Harry Burton.
And the best part was everyone was screaming it back. It was just, like the morale in the country was incredible.
Yeah.
I've never like that. As much as people slag off England, there's a lot of people like England haters, but the atmosphere around England at the time was incredible.
I've
really
never
seen
seen
so much
join people together. And this is why I think football is so undisputed as the best sport ever. Just the way it brings people together. And even that rivalry is so good. Like, I will contest anyone that this is the greatest sport on earth. You know, I went to Peru and I was talking to these random Peruvians about all Peruvian footballers, who they think's the best ones, who they think could become a big name. And, you can't do that with many other sports, in my opinion.
Yeah. And the other thing, like, from that World Cup, that tournament, you had people who had no idea about football, no idea at all. And they loved it.
It gripped their interest.
Everyone was involved. You had people, even if people didn't like football at all, they were getting involved because it was such a good atmosphere and everyone wanted to be involved in it. And it's something that you can't really replicate with anything else. And it was great. But no, anyway, on to the Euros.
We've talked a little bit about our nostalgia of the previous tournament, but let's get back to reality now. This Euro's coming up, so
we'll go on to what I thought of it, what I think is going to happen. I think, if I'm honest, we'd be lucky to get out of the group stages, and that's saying something because we have Scotland in our group, and we have who's the other team?
Czech Republic.
In the Czech Republic. So, in looking at the group, we do well not to get out of it, but you can see Scotland doing a shock against.
They're going to be up for it. This is like West Ham, Tottenham to them, isn't it?
They hate us.
Absolutely, which is going to be great because my girlfriend's Scottish. So.
And I also have Scotland in the sweepstakes. So. Go on, Scotland.
Bit sweet for you then.
Yeah, well,
whichever side wins, you're like, I lost my money. You probably want Scotland to get out of the group stage, but England win the group.
100%. But no, I just think our reason I don't think we're going to do very well, and if we do get through the first stage, if we win the group, we have a team from the group of death. We won't beat France. I can't see us beating Portugal. And we won't beat Germany. So whoever we
you know
get,
what?
I don't
So
fancy us
far, I've
beating them.
actually agreed with everything you've said. I should be contesting you on that. I don't think we could get out of the group stage, but I think it's a realistic possibility.
Yeah.
I mean, look, let's look realistically at how we did at the last tournament. Now, I've written a few things down here. So we scraped a win against Tunisia. Do you remember Harry Kane
That
scored
was
really
horrendous.
late? It was a horrible game to watch. And
First game, wasn't it?
yeah, the very first game. And without that win, I think we'd look away and think typical England. But okay, some games you have to scrap. We pushed on. We beat Panama quite confidently. And then we beat Colombia on penalties. Now, look, apart from Panama, these have been scrapes. And then we obviously beat Sweden, I think, quite confidently as well in that tournament.
2-0, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I think Dele Alli scored in that game.
Yeah.
But then we've got to think, whenever we've come up against somebody with any sporting credibility, with any footballing credibility, in Belgium and Croatia, we've lost to Belgium twice, and we obviously lost to Croatia in what was probably the biggest heartbreak I've had as a football fan.
I cried outside of
I remember.
outside of the club that we watched it in.
You know, like I kind of was like, oh, gutting, but it was a good tournament. You was on your knees on the floor. I turn around and you're just so down.
Bearing in mind, I was like 4 or 5, maybe 6 pints in at this point. Probably more than that, actually. I literally can't remember.
Do you remember when you nearly got in a fight with Jamie after that?
Yeah, well,
I brought my mate along, and he's a big Liverpool fan. And right, in hindsight, at the moment, Henderson was getting mugged off. I think we've now come to accept that, he's a decent midfielder.
Yeah.
But we were arguing that Eric Dyer, God, we're going to look like such mugs here. Eric Dyer was a better midfielder than Jordan Henderson because Eric Dyer scored the penalty in the Colombia shootout and Jordan Henderson missed his. Oh, God, how the times have changed. One of them's lifted Champions Leagues. One of them is
the Premier League as well.
Basically a meme at this point.
Yeah, I don't. God knows what's going to happen with him.
I do love that meme. Have you seen it? He does the dance, no?
No.
Okay. Moving on. So we've just talk a little bit about the squad we're bringing. So we've talked about how we think we're going to do. I think I agree with you completely that we're going to struggle to get out of the group stage. And if we do, we're getting put up against a group of death. So I don't think this is going to be a great tournament for England, but I hope it is. But yeah, so the squad, what do you think?
I think it's an absolute shambles.
I don't agree with you there.
You don't?
I think we've got some very talented attackers. Jadon Sancho's coming off.
No, I wouldn't say we don't have talented players. We've got talented players, but I don't think Southgate's picked right.
No,
I think he's left some key players out.
Who would you have brought?
First of all, Ward-Prowse. He solely for
his
free kicks.
Yes,
you can win games, so many games with free kicks. You see it all throughout all these tournaments. Not even just at international level. You've got it in club level as well. You win games with free kicks. You win games with corners. We had Harry Kane taking corners in the World Cup last year. That's ridiculous.
No, that was the Euros when we lost to Iceland. Right. Do you remember Roy Hodgson?
Oh, yeah. Well, still, it's ridiculous. And he's probably the best free kick taker in the Premier League at the moment, based on last year's games. And how can you not bring him? He looks remarkable on the ball, put some great crosses in, so I don't know how you can't bring him. Next of all, I'd say Lingard has been very hard done by. He's been arguably one of the best players in the
how brilliant would it be if we had Lingard and he scored in the Scotland game and him doing his little celebrations in front of all these livid Scotland fans. Honestly, I completely agree with you that Ward-Prowse, the amount of free kicks Harry Kane wins, like that whole tournament in the World Cup the last World Cup, Harry Kane was just winning free kick after free kick after free kick.
And with VAR as well, there's just going to be more.
Exactly.
There's only going to be more free kicks than last tournament. So.
And, like you said, there is not a better free kick taker in the Premier League at the minute than Ward-Prowse. And, his set-piece deliveries are spot on as well. And then I'd like to bring Lingard just for the memes. Like, just what a guy, just dancing around at this tournament. It would be brilliant.
But like seriously though, like he should be there. He's probably single-handedly, joint with Souček, got West Ham into
I agree
the Europa League.
but
So
as I brought up to my dad, if you look at the players in that position, Lingard isn't getting in.
no, but
You've
even
got
as a, you bring them on, Mount,
Foden,
Grealish, yeah,
and he'd be fourth
but
choice.
You
Okay,
play. I'd be playing all of those three in my starting 11. So you need a sub.
Well, I think how he's going to play it is you've got Kane up top. He's going to look for our wide players in Rashford, Sterling, and Jadon Sancho. Now, whether or not you think that they deserve to play or not, I don't believe Sterling should be starting this tournament. But I think Gareth Southgate will.
I think he will because he's stuck in his way. I'm saying this. I do like Southgate. I'm not saying I don't, but he doesn't need to just stick with players because he's used to them. He needs to pick players when they have
Based
the
on
right
form.
to play.
And Lingard, on his form, deserves to be there.
He's in form. Sterling doesn't. He's been absolutely appalling this year. Maybe I'd bring him as an option from the bench, potentially, because he does have a bit of flair. Maybe he can do something. But other than that, you can't be starting Sterling. Rashford, he's been all right this year. Hasn't...
I think he's had, for Rashford's standards, he's had a bit of an average year for me.
Yeah, exactly. So, again, out-of-form player. You have players such as Ollie Watkins. You have... This is gonna throw a little wild card out there, but like Ivan Toney, for example, in the Championship. But I know he hasn't done it at that level.
Yeah, it would
but
be like
I know, but
again.
you should be really bringing players that are in form, because it's not going to work. You wouldn't. They wouldn't be playing for their club if they're not in form. So why should they play for their country? You've got who else? Who am I thinking? Oh, Harry Maguire. He's been injured the whole season. So
this was another thing I think we had to go into is the injuries. I don't think you can bring injured players along. I think that you've got to look. They're not going to be in the right frame of mind. You're just going to end up rushing them back too early, and they're not going to play to their best standard. I think you've just got to leave them at home and have more faith in, we've got plenty of other options.
Yeah. I mean, you look at it, we've got Harry Maguire, who's currently in a moon boot, I think, still, isn't he? That's ridiculous.
He's not. He's back.
But it wasn't that long ago that he got it off. But how can he even be in consideration? He also, Henderson, he's not fit enough at the moment because he's
but I think it was worth bringing Henderson because we're a little bit light in that defensive midfield role. Obviously, you've got Declan Rice and you've got Phillips, and then I guess Jude Bellingham, but he's a bit more offensive.
He's more of a...
he's kind of box to box. But so I think it was worth bringing Henderson because he has now had a few minutes on the board. But yeah, I agree. Harry Maguire should have stayed at home. What's his name? Ben White should have been in the squad initially, and then he should have looked at someone like Ward-Prowse to bring along instead of Harry Maguire.
So where does White even play?
So White is useful because he's a centre-back. I think he'd be one of them young players you're thinking to bring into the England team in the future you could maybe give a few minutes here and there. But the thing about White is he's very adaptable. He can play in the midfield as well.
See, that's useful. You need those.
Exactly.
Same with Reece James. James can play in a couple of positions. He could I even think he could be a CDM for us if we really needed to.
I was thinking about kind of the CDM role would have been, everyone was up in arms about, Trent Alexander-Arnold coming. I think he is very adaptable, and I think that his passing range, he would be a good defensive midfielder as well. And I believe he has played in the midfield before.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll tell you what though. All right, we're obviously slating Gareth Southgate's selection here, but I'll give him credit where it's due. He's got rid of this culture of bringing old dogs that have a big egos, big names to these kind of tournaments. So you're talking Roy Hodgson would bring Wayne Rooney. Now you'd watch Wayne Rooney, and he was like, an old dog that you're used to, you've had since a puppy. You've brought it to the park as a puppy, and it's full of life. But now you still go on the walks with the dog. You still bring it to the park, but it's not as lively. It doesn't walk. It kind of drags itself along to catch the ball. Sometimes it doesn't bother bringing back the bone. It's just quite depressing to watch. You just kind of bring him along just because he's.
I hope you watch this, Rooney.
But but my point is that Roy Hodgson would pick big names that just weren't up to it in the big tournaments, and it was quite disgusting.
But then when you look at it, who could he have brought that?
You had
in terms of the big names that, because he's brought Maguire.
Harry, well, obviously Harry Kane.
They're both injured.
I guess maybe you're right. There is a period where we're in a weird period where there is no kind of Scholes, Lampard, Gerrard on the scene. So, but either way, it's a young squad, and I think if we don't do well in this tournament, I think in the future we're bound to have a team for the future.
I would agree with that, but I also think that it's wrong that he's taking. I mean, everyone will agree with this. 4 or 5 right backs. What is wrong with him?
It was brilliant. Have you seen that press conference? This is honestly, if you ever want a reason not to have any faith in Gareth Southgate, there's an interview recently where they ask him about why he's brought so many right backs, and he says something like, he says something like, "Oh well, if it was up to me, I would have brought 6 right backs." Meanwhile, the whole nation is like, "Gareth, we're putting the faith of the England national team in your hands, and you're out here bringing 6 fucking right backs."
Is he actually that stupid? Why would you bring that many right backs? You can only play one.
I feel like we should maybe show Gareth a diagram and go, right, Gareth, how many right backs do you see in this formation? 4. And it's brilliant. But to be fair to him, people have kind of swung this narrative to make a bit of a meme out of Gareth Southgate. But I think Kyle Walker is going to play as a centre back. I'd expect Kyle Walker, Stones, if Maguire's fit. If not, maybe someone like Cody. Someone.
I think Cody will play. I think he should play.
God, he doesn't fill me with confidence.
I like Cody.
I like him. I like his attitude.
I'd like him more than Mings. I like Mings.
I really quite like Mings.
No, I like Mings, but I think Cody, his attitude's there, and I think I don't know, I just think he's a quality player.
Oh, no, he's not one of those guys. You're like, oh, yeah, he has a good attitude. Doesn't have much footballing ability.
No, but he does. Wolves' defence wasn't great last year, but in recent seasons, it's been good.
Yeah, but is that because of Big Willie? Willie Bolly.
Oh, I was really confused by that.
It's meant to be a bit of a little innuendo there for you.
Thank you very much.
Clearly went over your head.
Lovely.
Waste of my humour, you are. I'll waste it on you.